Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day, as always. And today I want to talk about happiness. Now, what is happiness? Well, happiness is something you feel when you connect with another human being. Maybe it's love, or maybe it's just you love your child or husband, or maybe it's just somebody you met. Okay? But when you connect with someone, you open a tiny door into the infinite, the formless dimension. Okay? And that's why you're happy. Okay? There's no other reason. We humans have an infinite capacity to be unhappy, which is caused by our separation from God. Okay? But we think we're separated from God. We think we're separate individuals. So that's where the unhappiness comes from. But we're not separate. We're all one. And happiness, okay, comes from connecting with people. And when you are unconnected, you feel not happy, right? Anyway, so the only way to have happiness that lasts, that doesn't depend on a connection to another person, and people are pretty difficult, okay, to keep connection with. Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes it's good, okay? But either way, it's fleeting. Happiness is fleeting. Your kid grows up who you loved and been happy with, and then he moves away, and then suddenly you're unhappy. Or your lover breaks your heart, and suddenly you're unhappy. But the happiness that you had with that lover was not because of the lover, it was because of the connection. Okay? And once the connection's gone, then the happiness is gone too. But there is a way to have permanent happiness. Happiness that doesn't go away because of a person, okay, doesn't want to be around you anymore. Okay? So, what is the way to have permanent happiness? And that is to awaken. Okay? Now, when we see other people, okay, how we see them is pretty much we label them. Okay? Whether they're rich or poor, okay? Whatever they are, we label them. Okay? That guy's a douchebag, or that guy's a bum. Okay? Without even being able to tell anything about them. We just label them, and then we just basically dehumanize them when we do that. Okay? So the connection is the opposite. When you have a deep connection with somebody, you aren't labeling, you aren't judging, you're simply connecting. Okay? And that connection is the thing that makes you happy. When you connect with somebody, you open that door just for a brief moment. Okay? And every time you look at them, or smile at them, or kiss them, or hug them, that door opens again and again and again. But the door can open all the way. The door can be open fully so that you are happy. Okay? It's not really happiness, it's joy. But we say it's happiness. The formless dimension is full of God's joy, God's love, God's peace, the peace that passes understanding. Okay? And to get that happiness, to get that joy, to get that love, to get that peace, you have to awaken. And it's not that hard, okay? I think I've gone over how to awaken in this series. But the other side of the connection feeling that we get is the judging feeling, okay? Which is just basically discounting somebody because you don't like the way they look, or because you think they're too fat, or because you think they are too much of a bum, or whatever the reason is. You discount what could be a happy moment. You could have a connection with that person. But you can't have a connection with that person if you judge them and label them. Okay? So that's what happiness is. And the way to have happiness without having to connect to somebody. Because connections are fleeting. Okay? You can have a friend that you love so much. And then one day they say one thing that offends you, and then that's it. They're gone. Okay? Or you say something that offends them. So that's the fleeting nature of happiness. But it doesn't have to be fleeting. You can create that joyful feeling within you by simply awakening. Okay? So when you are sitting in your apartment or wherever you're sitting and you're feeling unhappy because there's no connection, try going into nature and feeling the connection with the trees and the plants and the grass, okay? Because that's another type of connection. Or try looking at the sky. You can connect with the sky, with the clouds, or at a mountain framed by the sky. Anytime you look at nature, have you ever been to the sea and just looked at it and things start to gel inside your mind? Well, that's a connection. You're connecting with all the life in that sea and all the water, because that all is part of nature. And I mean, it's difficult sometimes to see a path to wake up, okay? But there's a way. There's always a way, okay? You have to let go. You have to let go of all these things you've been clinging to. Clinging is the source of suffering, okay? Because the world is impermeable, okay? And we are impermanent, okay? Everything changes everywhere, okay? And that includes us. And sometimes we don't like those changes, and so we have suffering. This impermanence is also why happiness is so fleeting, okay? Now, every time you feel happy, it's probably because you were with a person that you loved or a person that you had a connection with, okay? And that connection is really a connection to God. You are a soul, and that soul is connected to God. And when you touch your soulness by having a connection with somebody else, you feel your connection to God. And that's really all there is to it. But if you don't have a connection with somebody, you're going to be unhappy, okay? Because the world is terrible. It's a terrible, terrible thing that we're dealing with. The global warming, wars, not to mention just plain old depression, okay? Or sadness, which hits all of us. But there's a way out of it. There's a way where you can be free of that. Be free of the constantly changing sense of self. Okay? Because that's really what it's about. If you think you're a person, you're wrong, because you're not a person. You are a soul. And that soul has a connection to God that you can feel when you're with other people and you're having a connection with them. And that's where the happiness comes from. And if you want to have that happiness, then you need to accept who you are. Okay? And who are you is a soul. Now, maybe soul is not the right word. Maybe there's a better word out there, but I don't know it. Okay? These words are just placeholders for what it really is. We don't know what it is. We have no idea what consciousness is. We have no idea what a soul is. Okay? Because, it's on the other plane. It's on the formless dimension. But I got to call it something, so that's why I use soul. So, if you're unhappy, it's because you're not connecting, okay, with someone. Because we need that connection. We need it so badly, okay? The first connection we ever had was with our mother when we were in her womb. And when that connection breaks because we get born, we seek to make new connections. That's why a mother needs to be with her baby so she can connect to it. Anyway, the main thing here is to remember who you really are. Now, I know it's hard to think of yourself as not a person. Your whole life you've been a person. But you know what? That was a lie. Somebody lied to you along the way, whether it was your parents or the world, and you thought you were a person. But you're not. It's an illusion. And the longer you believe in your personhood, the harder it'll be to have that happiness. Because that connection, that personhood is getting in the way of connections, okay? Which is what makes you happy to begin with. So try not to judge people or label people, because that cuts off any connection you could have with them. Okay? And in the meantime, try to accept who you are and let go of what you're clinging to. That's it. That's the whole deal. And you'll wake up. All right, well, I guess I've talked enough about this subject. I love you all, and we're all one. And that's really, really true. This sense of separation that we all feel isn't real. Okay? You are not a separate individual. You are a soul. All right, well, I'll let you go. Have a great day and a great life.